Welcome to Bunch Formation, forever your newest college football podcast. I'm Chris Vannini. I did not pay hundreds of dollars to wait an hour for Brent Venables' press conference at Oklahoma.
That we know of, Chris. Instead, you did it for free. I am David Ubben, and I am not banned from UNC's facilities. At least I don't think so.
We got a lot to talk about here. Week 2 is in the books. It was a very fun weekend of college football. I was at Oklahoma, Michigan. David was at UNC versus Charlotte. And we're going to talk about stock watch right now because we've got most teams have played a team of note. So are you in?
That's not what I heard,
out?
Chris. That's not what I heard. Nobody's played anybody.
Are you in? Are you out? Are you holding? We had a wild weekend of games. We had some upsets. We had hot seat talk we're going to get to. I got back last night, or this morning, I guess, at 4 a.m. once again. Not because of a car EV charge this time around. It's because Brent Venables takes forever at his press conference at Oklahoma. And this is just media complaining. But I wanted to know, because we mentioned a couple weeks ago when we talked about the idea that Oklahoma was charging hundreds of dollars for fans who wanted to come sit in on the press conference. And I was going to report back on how that went. And it's in the team meeting room. So it's like a giant room. And I think I can't tell.
I've been in there a bit.
I can't tell who's a fan and who's not, but I assume they were way out in the back. It's a pretty big room. Oklahoma brings in a bunch of people all over the room. I still maintain that if I was a fan, I think that'd be pretty cool. I always try not to take that for granted as media, that we kind of are given those seats in a press box and all that kind of stuff. So fun game. Good environment at Oklahoma. I'm going to report more, or at least give you my thoughts on the scene at Oklahoma later when we get to that game. But David, any other big picture thoughts of college football week 2?
Tough week for the hot seat. We'll get to that as well. This was the first week in general where it just felt like, oh, this is challenging a lot of our priors. Because last week, when it's two good teams going up against each other, people just assume they're good. And a lot of times they are. But sometimes you're not so sure. And this is the first week that kind of made you go, well, maybe we were wrong coming into the season. And we're going to talk about a lot of that around some of these teams.
We'll have everything in the show notes, timestamps if you want to jump ahead. Send all your feedback and emails to bunchformationpod@gmail.com. And please give us a 5-star review or a Spotify comment or an email. We'll read any positive reviews on the show. And sadly, David, our perfect streak of 5-star reviews has ended. We got a 1-star review on, I think, Friday. And we got a rating of a 1-star. No review.
Yeah, there's no full review. I like the 1-star reviews that people write, but no.
I have to imagine that this 1-star review was because of the interview with Connor Stallions, which some people didn't like that we did, and that's fair enough. I did see Connor, by the way, before the game at Oklahoma. So we're no longer a perfect 5.0, sadly, but we appreciate going several months into the show without getting that. We do have a couple of comments from Spotify. Joseph Siski says, great episode. I'm glad you two are doing a podcast. Thank you, Joseph. And an email from listener Philip Krebs. I'm very glad you all are continuing with the podcast and always enjoy your well-reasoned takes. I'm a big fan of bold opinions as long as they are defensible in the court of logic. Thank you, Philip. I think we're going to have a lot of that on this episode. So again, if anybody has a 5-star review or positive things to say, please let us know. We like reading it. We like shouting people out and getting more emails. We've got a long list of people who want to remember some guys, and we will get to those as we move forward. So with that, time to talk about week 2 college football in our game recaps.
The kids are playing their tail off and the coaches are screwing it up.
And we're going to start this by saying, are you all in? Or are you folding your cards? Are you in with the team or are you out? Or maybe you're holding and you want to wait and see some more. We're going to save the hot seat for the end. We got quite a few coaches right now who are on the hot seat. We'll talk about that. But we're going to start off with Oklahoma beating Michigan 24-13. I was at this game. And I come out of Oklahoma's win over Michigan thinking Oklahoma is legit. They are a real college football playoff contender. I like the pieces on this team. I do not think they are perfect. I do think there are some questions. I do think that schedule is very hard. But John Mateer is electric, man. This guy, my first time seeing him in person, he lived up to the hype in good ways and bad. His running ability is remarkable. And it was pretty clear that Oklahoma knew that was the only way they were going to run the ball. He carried the ball 19 times in this game. His ability to stop on a dime and cut back and get out of something is like elite level. His ability to kind of do that. And then his throwing was really solid. Oklahoma got some explosive plays that I didn't know if they were going to be able to do. He was able to find people pretty well. The offensive line was okay in pass protection. Defense looks great. They completely, confused Michigan and what they wanted to do. That was all great. I am really in on Oklahoma right now. David, I know you were at a game and kind of moving around. But from what
I watched
you saw,
it, though. I had it on my second screen. Here's the problem with this. Is I wasn't really a real big believer in Michigan. This is a just okay Michigan team. I think Oklahoma has improved, but they still read to me like an 8-9 win team. Like I don't know that I see them being a legit playoff team, and I certainly don't think this is a team that's going to contend for the SEC. You mentioned 19 carries, John Mateer. So you're saying that's sustainable if you're all in?
This is what I wrote about. I'll link to my column in the show notes. That's what I wrote about after the game. The rest of the team had 21 carries. Mateer had 19. He is the entire offense. They're going to have to run.
That's a big problem.
They're going to have to run everything through him. And is that going to hold up through an SEC schedule? I don't know. And if he gets hurt,
the answer is no, Chris. It's not going to hold up.
He took some hits. It's funny. Like, He is another one of those guys who, like, he's not overly media trained. He gave us some good quotes after the game. Like, he was like,
that Wazoo in him.
He was like, I should probably chill out and not take so many hits, but it's fun. And he told us, he did running back drills in the off season by himself because he knew it was something he was going to have to do. And he talked to DeMarco Murray after the game, the running backs coach, about his post-game recovery process when he was a player.
So bad, Chris. Are you
and he's going to have to go through this.
Are you listening to what you're saying?
So I asked Ben Arbuckle, the OC, I was like, did you intend to run him that much, or is that just kind of the way it went? And he was just like, I'm just doing whatever it takes to win the ball game, which is your job week to week. But the rest of the team, they average like 3 yards per carry. Jaden Ott got 4 carries for like 9 yards. He is not what he was at Cal, or he's still injured or something. They tried a couple of other guys there, but nothing was working. And +1 in the run game. But it's something, man. Like, remember how bad this offense was last year? It was terrible.
Yes, but some of that was just act of God stuff when your top 5 receivers are hurt.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think in general, yes, I do believe the defense will be top 20, top 15 level. But offensively, again, I don't think this is sustainable. I don't know that he has enough targets that I really believe. And I love Deion Burks, but
I like Kennick at tight end, by the way, number 12.
Yeah. He had a nice game too. Just this just feels not sustainable. I feel like, I don't think Oklahoma's destined for the Funky Town Bowl or whatever, but I do think this is a team that I don't think they're going to go 6-6, but I just don't take them seriously, in part because you're playing at home. You're playing a Michigan team that's still trying to find its own footing that might not be that great either. And with the rigors of the schedule, the physicality being what it is, Chris, you can't have your quarterback running the ball 19 times. I will say they should send some of these notes to Kansas State. We'll talk about them later. But you can't. This is not sustainable.
You're going to have to enjoy it, though. John Mateer.
I do enjoy it. This is what we said. I've been saying this all offseason with John Mateer. He's very fun. He's a must-watch guy. I don't know that I would hitch my entire future to him for a lot of the reasons that we're talking about.
Every play, you do not know what's going to happen, and that's fun.
That's him.
He may fly too close to the sun by the end of this. He's throwing in like a lot of that sidearm stuff that we're like, and there's a fade down the sideline. It's there. It's not like real open, but it's there. He sidearms it. Gets no air under it. It gets broken up. There's a couple others. he needed to learn. He needs to learn to put. He doesn't have to like bullet everything in there. Put some air under, and he did some plays. There was one fade early in the game down the sideline that if the defender slipped, if he had bulleted that one, it probably would have been an 80-yard touchdown. But he got the air under it and led the guy to the sideline, and he went out of bounds. But that's not Napier's fault. That was a good throw. So like, he's so much fun. Like, you're gonna want to watch them because he's just like a jitterbug back there. The way he's able to get out of stuff, and again, this may end terribly, but he's going to do some things that amaze you. He's going to do some things that frustrate you. He's going to do some things that you are going to want to watch him every single week on television. He is the Heisman leader right now, actually in Vegas. I think it's like plus 800, so it's like not like a big favorite or anything. But like, what do you think about that?
I mean, if he can stay healthy and that if is in like 72-point font, bolded and underlined, sure, I can see it. Because I think this could be a 10-win team in theory. You got to have things break the right way. You got to stay healthy. But there's a lot of health stuff that's luck, and there's a lot that's not luck. And this just feels like tempting fate. It's like, oh, we're gonna go in the SEC. What's he weigh? Like 205?
He's pretty. He's short. Like seeming in person, like he's pretty short, but he's pretty thick. He's thicker than you would think. So he might be able to take some of that. On the Michigan side, I even though the numbers were terrible, I came out of this liking Bryce Underwood, and I kept
trust
thinking,
him. And I guess they don't trust.
No,
I guess
no.
That's reasonable. But
I kept thinking, like, if you get him some receivers, then you're really going to have something here. And maybe they put all their money in on him, but you got to spend the next 2 years doing whatever you can to build this entire team around him, because he had a lot of. He didn't look panicked out there, man. Like, first road game, big environment. There was an early play where he scrambles and he brings the flat defender down, throws it over him. Like, you can see it there. He just has nothing really around him. And the coaching didn't help. Not only was the play calling from OC Chip Lindsey incredibly conservative, Sharon Moore's taken field goals on 4th and shorts deep in Oklahoma territory multiple times. What are you doing, man? You have to play to win the game here.
Scared money don't make money.
And so I was not really impressed with the coaching job Sharon Moore did, and he'll be gone for the next 2 weeks because he's now suspended for the Connor Stallions things for the next 2 games. Did you have any other Michigan thoughts?
Quick question on Sharon Moore. This was an issue last year where they just kept trying to run the ball and be who they were in 23 when they just didn't have the horses to do that. And I wonder if some of the game management stuff leaks into that as well. It's like, well, we're going to be able to run the ball. All these games are going to be low scoring. I got to take the points that I can get. I got to trust my defense. It's like, I don't know that that's what this identity of the program is. And I don't know if it's quite as pronounced as it was last year, but I do worry about that, where some of that conservative coaching comes in. And maybe that's just the Big Ten, aspect of it, where you might play some more lower scoring games. And it's unlikely that Michigan's going to run into somebody and have to score 40 to win. But, 4 extra points makes a big difference when you're playing a game that's got 35 points in it.
I want to say, like, Michigan shouldn't be in playoff contention, but the schedule is so easy the rest of the way. USC might be able to put points on them, but the rest of the schedule is Central Michigan, Nebraska, Wisconsin, USC, Washington, Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, Maryland. Like, that's like 9-3 at worst, even if you're not that good. So I can't say Michigan's out of playoff contention, because if you're 10-2 with that schedule, you're in the if you're 10-2, you're in the conversation. So we'll see on that. Wanted to note about Oklahoma's game day environment, because we talked about this going in. I'd been there once. You covered quite a few games there. Let your fans be fans, man. The PA system is just attacking all your senses at all times. Like it's a pro sports game. Texas was the same way when I went there for the first time last year. Just every time there's a second of a break, you got to throw something on the video board and get the fans to move around and do something. They're doing like the kids Simba cam at like the first TV timeout. I'm like, you got to pace yourself, man. That's like second half when you need to get the fans back up type of stuff. Every song has to be an EDM remix. I think I heard Oklahoma's fight song like 5 or 6 times, which is a great fight song. And we're across the stadium from the band, but they're just like all the time and all this. it did not feel like a college football game. And I mean that in a negative way. And Texas felt the same. Like, let me hear the band more, honor more like Oklahoma greats during breaks more. I didn't like it. And it's not the fans. The fans are great. It feels like a lot of these places don't trust like everybody has ADHD or something. And if you give a person 1 second of downtime, they're going to, I don't know, leave the stadium or something. Like you got to build a collective like group together. And it feels like it didn't do that.
I feel like just hand Barry Switzer a hot mic at midfield for every timeout. That'd be must-see TV. I'd watch that. I do think that is a lot of what I noticed at Clemson. I don't really like it either. It feels like maybe an old man take.
Maybe
the Gen Z and Gen Alpha listeners among us can inform us on why we feel the need to do this. But I do generally agree with you on this. I feel like just every timeout should just have a new hype video or something, and we can do that. Just don't start singing Mr. Brightside. We'll get into that later. That's my only request.
I mean, I'll take that over some of the other stuff we got. Anyway.
Okay.
All right. The other biggest game of the weekend, USF beats Florida 18-16. We will get to Florida later in our hot seat section. But USF as the group of 5 front runner. David,
very much so.
Are you in on it?
Absolutely. They can afford. The thing is, they can afford to lose next week now, and we'll see what Florida is. But Florida's still probably going to be a bowl team. You beat an SEC team at their house. You beat Boise badly. I don't think when you beat a team that badly, I don't even know how much it really matters where that game was played. What, 34-7? So you've already got the resume for it. You can lose to Miami. I'm not even 100% sure that they will, although, granted, now they're going to have Miami's full attention. But, yeah, I mean, we've been on this, Chris. We've been on the Byron Brown train. We've been on USF. The money part of it, the talent part of it last year, they never really broke through. A lot of that was, some mental stuff with Byron Brown, some health stuff with him as well. He looks like he understands who he is at this point. And there were a couple plays in that Florida game where they just could not tackle him. And he just seems slippery, but also like thick and fast. And he is something special. And then the rest of that team, the defense is so much better. The defense kept them alive in that.
That's what I want to credit. I mean, Florida only allowed 18 points. Like that should be enough to win you the game. But USF's defense really stepped up.
It did. And shout out to Todd Orlando. And this team is they're pretty scrappy. Obviously, we've been on that Alex Golis train for a while. I'm a big believer in him and what they can do there. And they have the talent. Like, this is not really a Cinderella story. You look at the G5 teams. I mean, they're as talented as anybody. And they have a ton of experience, a ton of continuity, which is really hard to have at the G5 level. Yeah. And I'm all in on this team as the front runner, right? I still think if you had to go, bet my house on something, probably Tulane, but they didn't look great yesterday. We'll see what South Alabama is. But at this point, based on what we've actually seen on the field, there's no question that's South Florida.
The Americans living great right now. Like they're picking up some pretty big wins here with USF. And the best part for the American and for USF and Tulane do not play each other in the regular season. So there is not an opportunity where they could knock each other out or something like that. And so that is good if you're the American. USF, man, this program started in 1997. They have now beaten the big three of Florida State in, I think, 2009, Miami in 2010, now Florida in 2025. And they've obviously beaten UCF, who's now a power conference team as well. They reached number 2 back in 2007. They've won at Notre Dame. Like, there's a lot of marks on this team's history that a lot of other schools can't reach. And that's because the potential has always been there. Like that's why they made the program. That's why people thought it could become something. And now they're building that on-campus stadium. And things are looking good. And so, USF at this point, if they win the American, almost assuredly they're in the playoff. Like, yes, they're the front runner, but remember, to be the G5 front runner, you have to win your conference. So like, if Tulane has 3 losses and USF has 1 and Tulane wins, USF's not getting in. So you still have to win the conference ultimately in the end. But USF's in a great spot now, especially looking elsewhere in the group of 5. So Shout out the Bulls. Long way to go. Long season still. But, I mean, you talked to Golish for a while at American Media Days, and they felt good about things. You know, we saw them
they were
we saw
high
them
on them, and
yeah.
It's living out right now. So shout out to the Bulls.
Oregon beats Oklahoma State 69-3. For Mike Gundy, the two worst losses of his coaching career at Oklahoma State are the last two games, in which he has lost both by more than 50 points. We said going into that game, we think Dan Lanning is going to run the score up because of what Mike Gundy said about Oregon buying its players, which is legal. Turns out that's exactly what happened. Dante Moore, the quarterback at Oregon, said after the game, quote, "When you attack our head coach, it's like attacking my dad, to be honest. It's like you're attacking a family member. I feel, as a whole team, it hit close to home. We knew that every week there's always going to be some trash talk coming, but for him to attack Phil," meaning Phil Knight, "and to attack Coach Lanning, attack our team with that kind of personal, what was kind of personal. This whole week, we just used it as the fire to push ourselves and score 69 points, and we did that. There was a lot of fire into this game, but overall, I feel we were cool, calm, and collected. But Coach Lanning said we were going to keep our foot on their neck and make sure we score these points and try to break the scoreboard." Ooh. So,
I mean, what did we say with this team? If they can, they will. I mean,
yeah,
people can. I think a lot of times, privately, teams and coaches and players talk very differently than they do publicly, and so it would have been. I think a lot of places they'd be like, that would be what the word was behind the scenes, and then after the game, like, "Oh, I didn't hear the comments. Well, can you repeat them back to me? I don't know." It's like, no, like
they're lying.
I will say I don't know. I guess why it was so offensive necessarily, because
it's saying that
it's speaking facts.
Yes, but there's always, even now that it's legal, there's always an implication in college football that if you get players with money, it is a bad thing, either because you're cheating or because you're implying that player doesn't really like your school. You just paid them the most, and that's why they're there. They don't care about the coach or the teammates or whatever. They're only there for the money. That is the implication of what is being said. But that's not college football anymore. And people, especially certain coaches, need to accept that. This is a mercenary system now. And if you have that player who does stick around, you love them even more.
Yeah.
But to attack somebody for being able to spend more, when you're in the Big 12, by the way, you're not like a Group of 5 or an FCS team here. It was just really insulting. So are you in on Oregon national championship contender? Because I think coming in, everybody's talking about Penn State. Ohio State's number one right now. It felt like Oregon was like maybe a step below those two teams. People felt like. Do you
go back
feel
and
like
listen
that?
to our preview episode, Chris? I think I was one of the few people on our staff who picked Oregon to win the Big 12 or to win the Big 10.
Yeah.
Nobody was talking about him, and it just came down to like, can Dante Moore be pretty good? I don't think he needs to be Superman. I think his defense is really underrated. I think they have plenty of weapons around him. Even without Evan Stewart, we kind of saw that. And I'm a big believer in Dan Lanning. And for all the deficiencies, I like his ability to coach around some of that stuff. And we're seeing that. Listen, we haven't seen them get really, really tested yet, but I think there's still a pretty strong case for them as the best team in the Big Ten. I picked him to win the league before. So yeah, I'm all in on this team as a championship contender. And I've been saying all offseason too, Chris, the way that last season ended, I mean, how does that not just really have a huge impact on the following year? To have the kind of year that Oregon had last year, where they were clearly the best team in the country coming into the playoff, and then, really flame out in such a spectacular way where you were, in the playoff for like 3 possessions before you were pretty much done. I mean,
yeah,
everything they did last year, I think feels kind of hollow, and you want to come back this year and make it feel very different.
I agree with you, both because I think Ohio State still has some holes, which we've seen, and Penn State not been great so far. It's early. These two teams, Oregon and Penn State, play each other in, I think, 2 weeks. So we'll really get and it's at Penn State. It's a night game. It's a whiteout. So we'll really see then what Penn State has. But yeah, I'm in on Oregon now. And a notable thing here, like I was talking about running back Mekhi Hughes from Tulane all offseason. I loved him at Tulane. He's come to Oregon. And he's not doing much so far. 9 carries, 30 yards in this game, just a long of 6. But remember, we had Oregon running backs coach Rashad Samples on this show. And when I asked him about Mekhi Hughes, he said, don't forget about Noah Whittington. And Noah Whittington has been very good so far. Only 4 carries in this game, but he had a 59-yarder. They like him. They're spreading the ball around to a lot of guys. They've got the weapons. Now, we'll see. Oklahoma State doesn't even have a pulse at this point. Pretty embarrassing overall. But I like what Oregon's doing so far. We now go to Clemson with a 27-16 win over Troy. They were down, I think, 16-0 at one point. They trailed at halftime. David, are you out on Clemson at this point?
No, because talent rules, and I still believe in the talent. This is going to be a tough game when you look at trying to figure out what Clemson is, because if it turns out that they have an ugly loss and they go 10-2 and sort of back their way into the playoff as this highly criticized, second ACC team or whatever, or if they win the ACC and the ACC is really down and anyway, there's going to be like, oh, see, we should, this is what they are. But they did outscore them 27-0 in the second half. And so if you do that against anybody, shout out to Virginia Tech. We'll get to you guys later as well. There's something in that. So in a lot of ways, this is kind of a Rorschach test. But I just believe in the talent and the experience and the continuity. I think those are like the 3 most important things that you can have on a college football team. And Clemson has all of those things. So, yeah, I'm definitely a little shaky as somebody who picked Clemson to win the whole thing. Yeah. But I think they can still get there. I think that because they have that experience, I'm a big believer in Garrett Riley. I think they can scheme some stuff up. They have experience at quarterback. They have talent. They got to get Antonio Williams back healthy. The hamstring thing, that's a problem because that can really linger. You got to let him get healthy.
But it shouldn't be a problem against Troy.
No, but I'm talking in the big picture. Like if he's in and out of the lineup all year, that's going to be a big issue. I feel like you got to shut him down for as long as you can until he's back right.
Yeah, I mean, one of these Troy touchdowns was like a takeaway at the goal line that became a touchdown. It's kind of a weird play. Yeah. But I'm holding on Clemson for now. I picked them to make the championship game and lose. This is a team and a program that gets better as the season goes on, typically under Dabo. We saw it last year. I think I'm giving it one more week before I kind of make a decision on Clemson. And that is because Clemson goes to Georgia Tech this Saturday. Noon game. Yes. They're going to get punched in the mouth. Haynes King didn't play this past week, but you presume he will against Clemson. This is a Georgia Tech team that beat Miami last year. They're going to challenge you physically, and I need to see if Clemson can stand up to that because this Clemson team could not stop the run last year. So I'm teetering on Clemson. I'm going to hold where I have them for now, but I got concerns, man, and they're not that explosive. I think two plays.
Well, again, this goes back to the Antonio Williams thing. Like, I don't disagree with you. I'd like to see more from Wesco as well, but the explosiveness, I don't disagree, but I think that could be easily explained as well. So I don't know. I'm shaky on Clemson. I still think they can get there, and I think they're going to get, in a lot of ways, not a free pass to the playoff, but of all the top 10 teams, they probably have the easiest path to the playoff because I just don't believe in the ACC at all. The second class, the ACC is way down there. I'm not a fully believer in Miami yet, and even if Miami's there, that's still not that big of an issue.
Clemson's schedule a little bit trickier than maybe we thought. Like, just they got Georgia Tech on the road. They got at Boston College in a little bit. Boston College got some fight. Yep. They got SMU. They got Florida State, who we think is good again. They got to go to Louisville, and they got to go to South Carolina. We talked coming in, they were going to be favored in every game coming into the year. That's probably, I don't know if that's totally true anymore. We'll see. Like, they may not be favored against Florida State or South Carolina. So
possible.
Shaky. We'll see. All right. Iowa State beats Iowa 16-13 in the Cyhawk game. They basically repeated last year's game. Yeah. Kyle Kernready, 2-time Iowa State legend. Now he hits the 54-yarder last year in the final seconds to beat Iowa. Does the same thing. I think they were both 54 yards, if I have that right, to beat the Hawkeyes again. David, Iowa State's Big 12 favorite. Are you all in on that?
I want to see more in a real opponent against Utah, but Utah is my preseason pick. Iowa State, I have some questions about them offensively. I don't really believe in their weapons. I'm not as big in Rocco Beck. The Big 12 is a weird quarterback league because you've got like 9 quarterbacks that are good, but they don't really have like an elite quarterback. But I still kind of see Rocco Beck kind of in that bottom half of that. So I don't really buy them as much. There's not enough guys on the roster that really scare you, which is, I think, a jumping off point. So I'm not all in on them. It's a Big 12 favorite. I think obviously you got a really good resume. They beat a Kansas State team that is in big trouble right now. And then an Iowa team that I'm not so sure about. There was a lot of hype about Mark Gronowski going into the season. I did not like really anything I saw from him. You know, he's a little mobile. I liked his decision making, but you know, there was this idea that he was going to kind of change Iowa and give them, you know, a little bit more balance. He's okay. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's great. And
I don't think he's kind
of the same Iowa.
13. So with Iowa State, I'm buying them right now because I think I'm buying them as my Big 12 favorite because one, Arizona State lost. We'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Big 12 is separating itself, I think, more than we thought. We thought every team would kind of have a chance to beat each other. I think we've kind of...
We'll see. It's early.
I think we're getting a lower tier here at the moment. But not that Iowa State's going to run the table or anything, but that team's tough, man. And they were getting pushed around in that second half. This was 13-3 Iowa State at one point. Iowa came back, and they were just starting to run it down Iowa State's throat. But then they were holding enough times. Rocco Beck makes the clutch play. I think it's like 7 game-winning drives Rocco Beck has now. You've got maybe the best kicker in the country in Conradi. Like,
that's
I think I like Iowa State as a favorite right now, but lot can happen. Iowa, I'm out on. They were like some people's like CFP dark horse if Gronowski worked. I'm out on them. I think they're going to be.
How dark is that horse? Oh my gosh!
Well, no. our friend and kind of colleague Alex Kirshner picked them just to mix things up. He picked Iowa potentially as a playoff team. But look, a lot of Iowa fans were very excited and thought it was going to bring a new dynamic, and you know, they can't throw the ball. So
yeah, that's all I need to see from Mark Gronowski. He's fine, but he doesn't change anything.
He's not it.
No.
SMU loses 48-45 in double overtime to Baylor. They blow a 14-point lead in the final 6 minutes. They were up in this game for a while. Baylor didn't lead until the first overtime. I watched most of this game on my drive up to Norman. I wanted to go to this game. It was in Dallas. I had to drive up north. This game was crazy. This game was everything we told you it was going to be on the CW. Sawyer Robertson, Kevin Jennings, bonkers numbers. But SMU, they dropped this game. They may have, I haven't seen the polls, but dropping out of the AP top 25. Yes, they did. They are no longer ranked. Are you out on them as ACC contender or no?
Clemson coming back to earth, I think, gives them a shot because I don't think Clemson's going to be the behemoth that we thought they might be coming into the season. Like, I thought there was a chance that we were going to look up at mid-October and see, like, I don't think anybody's going to beat Clemson. That's not what Clemson's going to be. I think Clemson can still contend. So I think they're in that Miami zone, that SMU zone. SMU was the better team in this game by far. Sawyer Robertson, unbelievable game, but SMU, you're kicking yourself in a ball game like this. So the bad news is you lost, obviously. You lose in a really frustrating way. The good news is it's not an ACC game. You can still get back to Charlotte. You can still line up across somebody 60 minutes from a ticket to the playoff. Whether that's Clemson again, whether that's Miami, we will see. Maybe that's Florida State. I don't know. But I think they're definitely in that group. So contender, yes, because I came away from that thinking SMU is really good because I do think Baylor is in that group of teams that can win the Big 12. That SMU is really good and just played a really bad 6 minutes and made some really crucial mistakes. And coaches, Chris, you wanted to hit on this. Play to win the game late. What are we doing? So
this thing that I've been on for several years now, which is
Nobody listens to you.
In the first overtime, if you give up a touchdown, extra point, and then you get the ball in first overtime and you score a touchdown, instead of kicking the extra point to go to a second overtime, you should go for 2 in the win. Why? Because when you go to the second overtime, you are going to have to go for 2 anyway if you get a touchdown. And you would, instead of putting the game in the hands of your offense for one play, you need a collection of your defense and your offense to try to win you that game. And you have, and a 2-point conversion that you convert may not even win you the game in that overtime. This happened twice on Saturday. SMU was the first one. You could not stop Baylor. You should go for 2 in the win instead of kicking to go to the second overtime. I trust my offense and Kevin Jennings to get those yards more than a collection of your defense or your kicker and your offense. And by the way, they go to double overtime. And SMU's kicker, who missed a game-winning kick at the end of regulation, misses again in overtime. And then Baylor kicks a field goal for the win. I really don't understand this decision to prolong a game, especially in a high-scoring game. The same thing goes for Michigan State, Boston College. Michigan State scored, Boston College scored. And instead of going for 2 in the win, they kicked. They then go to overtime, where Boston College scores, misses the 2-pointer, Michigan State scores, gets the 2-pointer, and wins. And you could say, well, Boston College didn't convert, so therefore it didn't matter. No, but you've put up 30-something points in that game. Like, I would trust my team to win that. It happened with Deion in Colorado State a couple of years ago. It's happened several times, and I don't understand the decision at a time when coaches are way more aggressive. Dave Aranda went for it on 4th down like 4 times in this first half again, by the way. Dave Aranda is a madman on these 4th downs, and it's mostly working out so far.
Yeah.
I was very surprised that SMU decided to play for double overtime when you could not stop Sawyer Robertson and your kicker had just missed a field goal earlier.
Yeah. I can tell you why they do it, Chris. I mean, it's a cowardice move at this point. Because if you go for 2 and you don't get it, you got all of the, I don't know what to call them necessarily, the people who don't understand what's happening here. Yeah. Not even the haters, but just the people who, I don't even know how to refer to it, but they're just like, well, if you play too risky or whatever, and not understanding the risk from a 30,000-foot view, you get all this criticism. If you don't get it, then the blame for losing that goes on the coach. But if you do get it and then you lose later, then all the blame goes on the players. It's not that coaches are trying to blame players, but I think there's that thought in the back of their head that, like, you're kind of putting your whole deal on the line here if you go for 2 in a winning spot. When it makes sense mathematically, it makes sense strategically. But I don't know that I think there's a class of fans, a lot of folks who don't recognize that. And I think the coaches are mindful of that. And it is aggressive. And putting the whole game on one play, you say that, it sounds more risky than it actually is. And I think it is a lot riskier to put it on a lot of variables in overtime, especially, I think, too, Chris, when you have a mobile quarterback, that opens up so many things for your 2-point plays. Yeah. 2, you haven't gone for 2 yet, I don't think. It's week 2. You should have a bunch of 2-point plays in your
You've
pocket
got everybody has 3 to 4 2-point plays, and you haven't used your best one yet.
Yes.
Like that I'd rather use that and go for the win. And by the way, I think in the second overtime, Kevin Jennings ended up getting hurt. He was hobbling around on his ankle. He got rolled up before they missed the kick too. So, like, don't extend that game. I think coaches have come around on 4th downs clearly this year. We're seeing a lot. Mike Norvell did this. We're seeing a lot of teams go for 4th down in their own territory. Coaches have smartened up on that. But on the 2-point stuff, still not there. In terms of SMU, I'm still going to hold. Like you said, SMU should have won this game. Your all ACC kicker misses 2 field goals. You have an interception thrown in the end zone. A lot of things had to go wrong to lose that game. And I think I'm encouraged ultimately that SMU's offense seems fine. Like, I was curious with the weapons they lost, Brashard Smith and all that, would they be able to put up points like they did a year ago? It looks like they can. They've got weapons at tight end, at receiver, still working at a running back. Defensively, we knew it was going to be a bit more of a struggle, but also Sawyer Robertson put up similar numbers against Auburn a week prior. So, that may just be part of it.
I mean, you want to talk about, like, legitimate Heisman hype in terms of what you've actually done. I mean, Sawyer Robertson's numbers, voters aren't going to do it. The bettors aren't going to recognize it because they lost in week 1, but he's been as good as anybody in the country, which again, Chris, not to belabor the analytics point, but Baylor was in the precise situation when you're down 14 midway through the fourth quarter to go for 2 on that first touchdown. It's a very clear analytics play, and especially when you have a really good offense and having a good offensive game. I mean, Baylor, they win the game, so nobody's talking about it. But when they scored the first time, I was like, they should go for 2 here. They don't. They end up going in overtime. They win the game, but there was a lot of opportunities to really grab this game by the caller, and neither of these teams really wanted to do it. So
it's the kind of loss where it depends. If Baylor goes on a BYU type run, maybe you look back at it, but it's one of those runs that if you're SMU and you don't win the ACC, it may be a thing that keeps you out of the playoff. That's where it kicks you, but a lot of season to play, and that's why we like it.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona State. Arizona State, the Sun Devils lose 24-20 at Mississippi State. They were down 17-0 at one point. They come all the way back, take a 20-17 lead before immediately giving up a very long touchdown pass to Mississippi State. Mississippi State fans then tear down the goalposts and carry it out of the stadium.
Was that the best play of the season so far? Probably, right?
Probably. It was so similar to the play that against Texas in the Cotton Bowl, the Peach Bowl, where they blitzed and live by the blitz, stop by the blitz, and a guy slips and boom, off you go. It's kind of how it goes. I think Arizona State not being able to punch it in either previously and having to settle for that didn't help. Arizona State, are you out on them? I had them as my Big 12 favorite coming in. You did not.
I've been out
are
on them
you
for a while, yeah.
are you out on them in terms of, not that they can't win it, but in terms of
the idea
of them
math
being
is going to be hard for them? And I talked to some Arizona State people during the week, and they felt really, really confident going into this game, and that didn't come to fruition. I think 2 things here. One, obviously Mississippi State looks improved. That was one of the worst SEC teams we've seen in a while last year. I think Blake Shapen's injury had a lot to do with that.
A lot.
But they put Arizona State on their heels, and they didn't really respond very well. Sam Leavitt, you would expect more from him. But I just think that it's so hard in the Big 12 to do this. And then when you have a game like this in non-conference, you go back and you look at Arizona State. I think the way that they closed the season made people forget like how much they were living the blessed life for the first 10 games of the year. They win the Big 12 and nobody's really, they win the Big 12. Nobody's really paying attention to them before that. They sneak into that game. Then they go toe-to-toe with Texas. Arguably should have won that game. And then people don't go back and be like, hey, like this team, there's about 10 different plays you could flip, and they go 8-4, and nobody's talking about them at all. And so I just think mathematically, I had a lot of questions about the Sun Devils coming into the year. So this is a good team. We're still in on Kenny Dillingham, but I didn't like them to come out of the Big 12.
Well, I think my biggest surprise for all this is Sam Leavitt, 10 for 22, 2 interceptions. Like I was expecting him to take the big step forward in year 2, his second year as a starter. I liked him. I drafted Cade Klubnik and him in our Heisman draft, and boy, am I not looking good for that right now. It's just these experienced guys I expect to kind of do better in some of these big spots, and they just haven't. And Mississippi State, credit to them, like you said, they were a disaster last year, but you lost Blake Shapen, and that kind of blew up your season. You've got a talented, experienced quarterback back. Turns out that makes a difference. So 2-0, good feelings around Starkville. Positive win for Mississippi State. Arizona State, I'm not. I guess I was in on Iowa State as the favorite, so I guess I'm technically out on Arizona State as my favorite for the Big 12 now, just because I have to be by default. But I'm not out on them in terms of being able to win the Big 12. Absolutely.
By the way, my Heisman draft, Chris, I had Lenore Sellers, DJ Lago. You don't talk about that one. And then we had Devin Dampier and Austin Simmons as my 3rd and 4th rounder. I'm liking both of those, I got to tell you.
Some of it. We'll get to some of that in a minute.
Yeah.
Arch Manning in Texas. So Texas wins comfortably, but it was a bit of a slow start.
Yeah.
Ryan Wingo's dropping passes. But Parker Livingstone, like maybe your guy now. He's the new, roommates with Colt McCoy or whatever that thing was back in the day. Arch Manning in Texas. Are you? I mean, I didn't have them preseason top 2, but are you still? Are you in on them? Are you out on Arch Manning in this whole thing, or where are you at?
It's getting if you are a person who believes that Arch Manning was overhyped, it's getting harder and harder to feel like you're wrong. I didn't necessarily think he was overhyped. I thought there was a chance he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You could see the tools early on, but now that we're seeing more of him, the Georgia game last year was kind of the canary in the coal mine for me, where it's like if a guy is special, even in a spot like that, even against a defense like that, you're still going to see some stuff. And I saw way more like deer in the headlights, kind of what are you doing balls than I would like to see from a guy who is, supposedly a generational prospect. I think Arch is very good, but we're already kind of seeing this conversation turn toxic. And if he's not great, I think that lowers Texas's ceiling. You got to have really good quarterback play. Last year, Will Howard, I don't know that he's going to be in the NFL Hall of Fame, but he was really good for Ohio State, and he helped.
I think he led the country in completion percentage. Will Howard
probably.
Did. Yeah,
he was really good. And I don't think that the NFL historians are going to be writing about Will Howard, but he was really, really good for them. And you can't win a title without really good quarterback play. You don't have to be, in this era, I guess a difference maker. It helps, but
you need to be efficient.
You
need to be efficient. That's what JJ McCarthy was. That's what Will Howard was. I'll say this, with Arch, I don't know if he's injured. A lot of people wonder if he's injured. You got people zaprudering, certain throws he's making and wondering if he's grimacing when he throws it. He's
definitely grimacing. The arm angles make you wonder. If the
arm angle thing makes you wonder. Mm-hmm. But we are not reporting that. We do not know. It's just a very kind of weird thing right now. So Texas, I'm whole. I mean, they were my SEC pick. I'll hold right now because I do think that defense is legit. Mm-hmm. Ryan Wingo, you presume, is going to kind of step up, but it's a little bit iffy.
Spring, so I think there's some connection there. With the Arch thing, velocity doesn't look great. His velocity looked a lot better last year, I thought. You just don't see the same zip on the ball, which if you're buying into the injury stuff, I think it lends some credence to
and
that.
if you want to, Quinn Ewers was hurt a lot more last year than Texas said. And that ultimately came out during the NFL draft process. We knew he had the oblique injury early on. And once that happened, he never had the same zip Quinn Ewers did. He had the ankle, I think it was the ankle later, but I think it turned out that he may have torn the oblique or whatever it was. I think they said during NFL.
I'm still not 100% sure what the oblique is. I guess it's your stomach.
It's the side. Abs? It's below your armpit. That when you lean sideways, that's that stretch. But those things can be tough.
Shout out
I'm just saying
physiology.
We've had a situation at Texas a year ago where quarterback injury status was downplayed more than it was. And so it's why I wouldn't rule it out, but we wait and see week to week with Texas. Illinois goes to Duke, wins 45-19.
Much closer than the score. This was the lionest final score I've ever seen.
Yes and no. Dave, are you in on the idea that Illinois, which is now I think ranked 11th, are you in on the idea that Illinois can contend for the Big Ten?
Well, I'm going to say yes, because I think this is schedule dependent. If Illinois goes toe-to-toe with the best teams in the Big Ten, I think they come up short. But the good news for them is no Penn State, no Oregon. They do have Ohio State at home, for whatever that's worth. But let's look at the schedule. Okay, you get Western Michigan, who's not been very good this year. You go to Indiana, who I guess is ranked as a tribute. I don't know. Indiana's not one of the 25.
They've looked. I mean, they haven't played anybody, but they haven't.
They've looked
good
okay
so far.
But the top 25 stuff. Then they go USC at home, which USC. Speaking of teams that look pretty good, again, we'll see. I want to see them play a team with the polls. At Purdue. Ohio State at home, at Washington, who has looked really good too. You got to be careful there. Rutgers, Maryland at home, at Wisconsin, and Northwestern. So the schedule sets you up that if you are one of the 15 best teams, like I could see them getting to 10-2. This is why we were asking if they're last year's Indiana, because they could be 10-2 without a big like statement win, and you got to kind of put them in the playoff by default, and then we'll see what they do when they get in there. You watch them; they don't jump off the screen at you. They're not that impressive, but they're just solid. I think. So I'm going to say yes. I'm in on them as a playoff team. Obviously, an at-large.
Illinois is a team that doesn't make mistakes, and they wait for you to make mistakes, and they pounce on them. That is what happened here. Yes, Duke kept it close for a while, but Illinois was leading throughout. They were keeping Duke at arm's length throughout, and then all the turnovers come, and Illinois pulls away at the end. But Illinois last year was 28th in fumble in turnovers lost. They're 43rd in turnovers gained. Like, they're, call it turnover luck, year to year, maybe, but this is a team that, like, they play very smart. And Brett Bielema is a very smart coach. There was multiple situations in this game where he was subbing guys on late because Duke was subbing late. So you get the defensive substitution and you slow trot the guy out there. And that's Brett Bielema taking advantage of the rules, which he has always done. And do you remember Brett Bielema is a rules loophole legend? Because you remember, I think it was 2006, the NCAA changed the kickoff rule where the clock would start when the ball was kicked. And that was because it was another way to try to speed up the game. So Illinois is playing Penn State late in the first half. Wisconsin's playing Penn State late in the first half. Brett Bielema's team kicks the ball off, and they go offside on their own kickoff 3 consecutive times. And then
they have no recollection of this.
And they have to re-kick it again. And they just took like 10 to 15 seconds off the clock. And they instantly changed the rule back the next year. Like, Brett Bielema knows how to work a clock like that.
I want to see a Louisiana Monroe get up a 3-0 on Alabama, and then just do that like 500 times until the half runs out.
Yeah, well, that's not the rule anymore. That's why they changed the rule back.
I would have liked to have seen that.
I'm not gonna buy Illinois as they can win the Big Ten, because I don't see them. I can't see them beating an Oregon, an Ohio State, or a Penn State. But I can see them ruining somebody's season. I mean, I could see them winning one of those maybe and like wrecking someone's Big Ten championship hopes.
Yeah.
But if they had to win multiple of those games or something like that, I don't know. But playoff at large, like, I like that too. Like, here's the thing. Yeah, the game might have been close on paper, but when you're in that playoff committee room, 3 months from now, you're not thinking back to, well, Duke fumbled the ball 4 times. You're just seeing 45-19.
45, yeah. And for all the talk last year about Alabama and South Carolina and Ole Miss, Illinois was just as screwed as those teams were, which is to say not that screwed, which is my point. Well, but they were right there with it too. And again, continuity, experience, these are things that really hit hard, especially in the modern era. And Illinois got that in spades. So I'm in on the Illini. Absolutely.
Darian Mensah, final numbers look okay. 23 for 34, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. I don't remember if he was the one who fumbled the ball at all, but
okay in this game. Just okay.
He's been okay. And it hasn't, I don't know if it's exactly been there yet for Duke for what you want, but we will see. Missouri versus Kansas. This was for you, David Ubben, the Missouri alum, and pretty much so many other college football media members who went to Missouri enjoyed this one.
There's a lot
really interesting game. Kansas is up like 21-6 at one point, but Missouri comes back, wins 42-31. Here's my question. Are you in on Missouri as a playoff contender?
Maybe, because I think the SEC is low-key kind of bad again.
Or at least not that great at the top.
Exactly. And
I think the bottom's pretty
good. If you're looking at teams that could and you're still going to get that schedule boost because there's all these teams in the top 25. And I could see Missouri bludgeoning their way to 9-3 and sitting there on Selection Sunday and being like, we got a pretty good case. So again, some of this is schedule dependence. Let's run this down. Okay. They got Louisiana, who already lost to Rice this year. They got South Carolina at home. That'll be a huge one for them. UMass, I feel like they can handle that. Alabama at home. I mean, tied. We'll see what they've got. At Auburn, It's a game that's getting tougher by the day. At Vanderbilt, you got to be careful there. A&M at home, Mississippi State at Oklahoma, and then at Arkansas. So
I could see the I could see them
good teams.
That's
not
the thing,
a lot
right?
of teams that you can't win that game. I don't see a single game on there that they can't win, but
Agree.
there's 7 or 8 games that they could lose. So
agree.
If you just play, both Prbula was really strong in this game. A much
really
better
good
passer than people gave him credit for.
He completes more than 75% of his passes for almost 400 yards. Missouri more than doubled up Kansas in total yardage in this game. By the way, on paper, it felt like in the second half, Mizzou's got to pull away at some point here, just because they have kind of been statistically dominating. And if not for that very long run at the end of the game, they don't cover they don't cover the spread either. I think it was 6.5. I think they were favored by. Yeah. I didn't love Kansas punting the ball late in the game. By the way, you didn't know if Missouri was going to be able to run the clock out on you. Instead, they get the long run, kind of put the game away anyway. I was very impressed by Prbula. And if they can throw the ball like that, then yeah, this is a team that is going to be in that playoff.
And kind of a culture win too, because you get down 21-6, you have all these questions about the investment of teams. We have a bunch of new players. You get down 21-6 in a rivalry game. I wasn't in the building. I haven't asked anybody what it was like when they're down 21-6. I can't imagine it was the most encouraging environment, and they just keep pushing and take control, win that game. Missouri was the better team in this ball game. So that's a lot harder to do than you think. And so shout out to Mizzou. So yeah, I'm in on them as a playoff contender. Sure.
How great was it to have this game back as a Missouri alum?
A lot of heat. I mean, I've kind of hit on it. It wasn't really the same because so many of these games decided how the tenor of your season is. I obviously don't like it in week 2. It's better than not having it, obviously.
Yes, 100%.
But it's just, this is a game that has been so closely tied to rivalry week. And rivalry week in Missouri land, they got this stupid Arkansas game that nobody cares about, that is so forced, and it kind of ruins rivalry week.
Rivalry. We wanted to talk about this. So, Mr. Brightside.
Okay,
Missouri,
let's do this, please.
Missouri plays Mr. Brightside. I don't know at what point during the game, but they play this and then have the people yell FKU during the song.
Listen, Missouri fans are going to find a way to yell that one way or the other.
But you said one of our group chats, which had a bunch of Missouri people, you don't like that. You don't think singing about your rival is you look down upon it.
It's 2 things. Number 1, the Mr. Brightside thing is lame and corny. It's bad that Michigan does it. It's worse that Missouri recognizes that Michigan does it and sort of co-opts it. It's a bad tradition. It's a lame song. The Killers suck. I don't get it at all, okay? So that we're already in territory where it's super corny tradition that is lame. 2,
I'll give you that part.
I will cede to doing that when you're playing KU, but my understanding is that this happens pretty frequently when they're not playing KU. If it's only when KU plays, that's better, the chanting, I suppose. But anytime that you have a chant or a song or anything that's focused on your rival, this is loser behavior. This is the Texas A&M and Texas fight songs. It's super lame. You just don't just have your own stuff.
I completely
turn it up on your rival when they're there.
I completely disagree. That's what makes it the rivalry, is that at all times you are thinking of your opponent. It's both Texas and I think Texas A&M mention the other school in their fight song. You have
super lame.
At Texas A&M, we were there last year. The saw varsity's horns and the side to side.
You can be playing like Vanderbilt singing about Texas. That's loser behavior.
No, it's not. That's why rivalries are great, because
I agree, rivalries are great, but focus on when you're actually playing those guys.
The Michigan State fight song, in the fight song, one of the lines is for the chorus is "Go right through for MSU." That is not the original line. The original line was "Go right through that line of blue," because it was written about a victory over Michigan. And that is the fun of college football that you don't get in any kinds of pro sports or any of that stuff. How many people do you think really know the Star Spangled Banner is about a battle during the War of 1812. It's not the Revolution or anything like that. And so to like the fun of rivalry is that it's 24/7, that you're always thinking FKU. I was at Nicole Auerbach's wedding this summer. Our friend Peter Baugh covers the New York Rangers in the NHL for us, Missouri alum. Mr. Brightside plays during the wedding, and he's doing FKU. And I'm like, this
Loser
is
behavior.
Like, I completely disagree. That is the fun of rivalries, is that you will always say, screw this guy. I was at Oklahoma.
It's being better than your rival and then sticking it to him when you play him, not having just living your whole life thinking about them. Life's too short to be obsessed with someone else.
At Oklahoma, they kept showing highlights of Oklahoma State. And they'd be cheering every time Oregon would score, and Oklahoma State would be looking
So just so we're clear, Chris, you are basically advocating that if you went on a date with your wife or something, that if you brought along a photo of an ex-girlfriend that you could throw darts at the bar, she would sign off on this? Because that's what you're advocating for.
No, it's not, because a rivalry is something. I'm not competing against my ex-wife. For victories, for
sure, but maybe you're bowling together, but every strike that you roll, you say F your ex or whatever. Like, so that's basically what's happening. Like,
wherever you have to get the inspiration. I go to, sometimes I remember covering Purdue games when Michigan State would play them, and there was like an IU sucks thing in one of the songs, and I was like, oh, it adds the intensity. It's why the rivalry games are different than every other game. Like, if you only we'll agree to disagree on this. I just think you're completely wrong. Most of these songs that were written like 100 years ago, because of some game between these two teams, like I love it. It's what makes everything special. Anyway, moving on. Kansas State loses 24-21 to Army. Kansas State ran 43 total plays, just 13 in the second half. Army's last 3 drives in the second half went 14, 13, and 14 plays, all for scores. There was a kick return touchdown in there for Kansas State. But my question is, are you out on Kansas State? Is this season lost?
It's looking that way. I have a theory for you, Chris. I have a theory.
What's up?
You. We are not paying enough attention to the Ireland curse. Okay. This year, Kansas State comes home. They almost lose to an FCS team. Then they lose to an Army team that's already lost to Tarleton State. Okay. Then we have last year, Florida State, top 10 team, loses in Ireland, goes 2-10. The year before that, Navy gets rocked by Notre Dame. They go 5-7. They've been much better since, obviously.
Wait, is that the year that Kenny Matololo got let go too? Was that his last year as coach?
No, that was Brian Newberry's first season.
Okay.
2022, Nebraska. They lose the opener in rather spectacular fashion against Northwestern. They go 4-8. I believe that was the year. Yes, they fired Scott Frost that year.
Correct.
Boston College is in 2016 is the last team that didn't have a terrible year. But since we brought this game back, 2022, 2023, 2024, and now 2025, if you lose that Ireland game, it's basically the kiss of death for your season. And K-State is living that out right now.
Yeah, apparently. Army, a team who just lost to FCS Tarleton State and also didn't have its starting quarterback in this game. Yeah. Like, it's rough. You know, the battle in the trenches, that's where you're expecting Kansas State to win. But I think they have a new offensive line coach this year, didn't he go?
Kansas State, yeah. Connor Riley was their co-OC and their offensive line coach. He went to the Cowboys, I believe.
Yeah. So the Cowboys look good. Or they lost, but they look good. So it's looking like a bit of a lost season here. And what this means for Avery Johnson and whatnot, I don't know. But they've played 3 games. They looked good against Iowa State, but you lose. You're 1 play away from winning that. You lose that. You need a last-second win against North Dakota, FCS team. You lose to Army. It's going down in a very, very bad, very quick way. They go to Arizona next week. Very curious how that goes. You got Baylor still, Utah, Texas Tech, Kansas. It's not looking great. All right. Last one here for this part of it. Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback at UCLA. UCLA loses 30-23 to UNLV. They were down 23-0 at one point in this game.
Rallied.
It's not looked good. In fairness to Nico, he has had nothing around him. He had some drops in the first game. The offensive line is terrible, but you're seeing a lot of Tennessee people, Clay Travis out there being like, this is a generational bad decision by Nico, and every single week he's getting pounded on it. Are you out on the idea that Nico can turn this around?
Yeah, because I just don't think UCLA is very good. And on top of that, he chose this. I don't think Tennessee has the greatest supporting cast around him, but Joey Aguilar, as I've mentioned, I think is a much better fit for this and has been really good through 2 weeks. Obviously, a big test this week coming against Georgia. We'll talk about that later in the week. But Nico's been not terrible, but there's nothing around him. And you're on a team that's screaming 4-8, 5-7 generously. And you chose this. It's a weird choice. So I think his numbers are sort of immaterial. I think the only thing that's interesting is if Joey Aguilar surpasses his numbers this year, which I think he will. I don't think that's a commentary on his talent at all. He's a talented guy, and by all means, by all accounts, a good kid, a guy that was really well liked at Tennessee. I'm writing a column this week about him. It's sort of a more complicated decision than people maybe thought, but it's not worked out well in any way, and I don't see it getting better.
They've got New Mexico and Northwestern their next 2 games. You better win one of those 2, because if you don't,
you should win both of those.
There may not be another. There may not be another one on the schedule. Yeah, but you just lost to UNLV, so that's not great. A couple quick other shout-outs. Wanted to mention these teams. We didn't have enough time to go deep on them, but Texas State beats UTSA. 2 straight wins in that rivalry for GJ Kinney. The freshman, the quarterback look good. They've got it going there. Keep an eye on Texas State and the Sun Belt. Temple is 2-0. Now they've beaten UMass and Howard, but they've blown both of them out. That is something Temple does not often do. Casey Keeler seems to have them taking care of business. I'm intrigued by them. I'm keeping an eye on them. They also host Oklahoma this week in Philadelphia in the funniest non-conference game I've ever seen. Do you have any
insight on how that happened?
So I got a message from someone who scheduled this game. Sean Padden, he's now at Nebraska. He was at Temple with Matt Rule. Ralph Russo, our colleague's writing a story about it. But Sean was like, the AD at the time at Temple, Pat Kraft, wanted to schedule a blue blood game for what they were hoping was going to be a new stadium at Temple by this time. And they called all the blue bloods. Nobody said no. Oklahoma said yes. And they don't have a new stadium, so they're playing at the Eagles Stadium. It's going to be a very weird scene. Oklahoma's going to win, but just it's very weird how that happened. Other places to shout out. Keep an eye on Pitt. They have blown people out in their first 2 games. Haven't played anybody of note, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
Talk about continuity. Cade Bell, they hung on to him. Eli Holstein. Yep. I'm Pitt. We're aware. We're aware.
Louisville. I was impressed by Louisville pushing past James Madison. I did not see the second half of this game because I lost power on Friday night. A storm came through Texas and it wrecked my Friday night. Almost wrecked my Saturday morning in getting up to Norman. But everything's good now, I think.
You didn't whip out the phone and watch Louisville? I did not love what
I don't. So where I live in Texas, my neighborhood, I don't get good phone service without Wi-Fi, and it's a big problem. I couldn't get any service with Verizon. We switched to T-Mobile because we did get T-Mobile service better here, but suddenly now the T-Mobile service is not great. When I turn when the weather's fine, I turn the Wi-Fi off. The phone's working great, but if we lose power and it's storming, the phone service is suddenly not good anymore. So I may have made that switch for nothing. I don't know, but frustrating. Toledo, 45-21 over Western Kentucky, rushed for more than 300 yards. So Toledo looking like the best team. Them or Ohio looking like the best team in the MAC so far. Speaking of Ohio, they beat West Virginia. They were, I think they were like a 2-point underdog, but Brian Smith, Parker Navarro beat Rich Rod at home. Very cool scene. Shout out to the Bobcats. And Syracuse beats UConn in overtime. Good game. Comeback win for Syracuse. And then Fran Brown has them run gassers on the field after the game like it's Miracle, and he's Herb Brooks. Dave, what'd you think of that?
I'll have more on this soon. All I will say, so I'm working on a Fran Brown profile. It'll be out pretty soon. I think the week before they play Clemson, I think. But all I'll say is I totally reject the idea that this is done for show. That's just not how Fran operates. I think he just operates on accountability. I think he told his team this was going to happen if they didn't put up to the standard. And when I was talking to him, he told me a story about somebody who said that they should do something for show because it would look good in the media. And he's like, I don't do that. If you're doing something because you think it's going to look good or do this or that, he's like, then what are you doing it for? That's fake. I don't do that. His whole thing is authenticity, and he's going to do things his way. So you can say, oh, he's just doing this for clicks or whatever, but that's not how he operates. And let me just say, when I saw that, I was not that surprised. So you should read my Fran Brown profile. It'll be out in a week or two.
Please give it lots of clicks. That Fran Brown will be giving to us. I'll say this:
we're gonna have to edit it now because we've added. Because that was an event that obviously happened. So.
I'll say this though: like the one thing is that like I think the gassers are the wrong thing because Syracuse ran they ran like 80 something plays in this game. And they wore down UConn and came back in the end. I think they're in shape. I think the cardio is pretty good. They outlasted UConn. I don't know if they need the gassers. Maybe put them in the weight room or something like that. I think that was fine. Okay, so now we're more than an hour into this. I didn't think it would take this long to get to here, but it's time to talk about the coaches' hot seat. 3 coaches. Are they done? Do you have any faith that they can turn it around and save their job? In some cases, again, we will start with Billy Napier, the Florida coach, the aforementioned loss to USF. I say he is done. I do not think he can fix this a second time around. And it's because the game management problems are still so bad. It's been a problem since he first got there. Didn't have a special teams coordinator, had all these things. And like it's these types of mistakes that you can bring back to coaching. It's not running the ball late in regulation, throwing the incomplete passes when you get the ball back with 3 minutes left. It's punting on a bunch of 4th and shorts when, as we said, like coaches are going for 4th down, especially when you've got the advantage with the athletes. You should be taking advantage of that, not sacrificing possessions in that situation. And then the spitting thing. That's a 15-yard penalty, eventually leads all the way down to the game-winning field goal. Like some coaches, things happen and there's a game, there's a moment where you just know it's done. And the speaking of Florida, the shoe throw with LSU, you knew that was kind of going to be that. John L. Smith slapping himself in 2006 at Michigan State. And like Billy Napier's really nice guy. I do think the players really adore him. I think we saw that in the Netflix documentary and what they did last year to rally. But I haven't seen anything from Napier that makes you think he can take this team consistently to that highest level and what the standard is at Florida, which is to compete for the national championship. He has not been close to that. And this doesn't look like a team that's going to do it again. I would be stunned if we don't have a coaching change. I would be stunned if this is not his last season.
Generally, I lean with you, but this tough schedule can work 2 ways. You win next week. Well, yeah, you win. Well, I say you win. You win this week. You go to LSU. You go to Miami. Florida can win both those games. You win both of those games, all of a sudden everything's fixed. The schedule is really hard, but it does give you a lot of opportunities for a palate cleanser and make people feel like, oh, we've seen what this program can be. So, what is he, 20-20 at Florida? I think we've seen enough to know that it's probably not going to turn. But the idea that it's dead, I think we learned our lesson last year that I think this team can still rally and they will have opportunities. I suspect they split that LSU Miami.
I don't even know if 8-4 saves them at this point. Like you're so far off from where you're supposed to be.
And not all 8-4 are created equal, and I think you got to avoid another loss that gets people having conversations like these. You can't lose a game by 40 to somebody. And you can't lose to USF. The only flip side of this is USF's also pretty good. So it's like
they're not on Florida's. Stop it. They're not on Florida's level when it
still,
comes to
that's a good
talent
team,
and
a
every type of
well-coached
thing.
team,
You
so.
have the better quarterback. There's no position in which USF lined up.
I
and
agree
had a
with
better
you,
player.
but I just think it's different than losing to like some bums or an FCS game. It's different. I know there's a lot of things baked into losing USF that is a problem for him, but I don't think it's the same thing as losing an FCS game.
But you give up 18 points, that should be enough to win the game. Like the fact that it's offense your side of the ball really, and you can't get that going, doesn't look good for Florida. I will say though, because it looks like, I guess maybe we'll get this into the next episode. We didn't really have time. The single transfer portal likely coming in January. It was approved. It was approved by the Football Oversight Committee. It'd be January 2nd to the 12th. It's possible that impacts the coaching carousel in terms of when you fire coaches and whatnot, because guys can still go in the portal if you fire a coach, but there will be no one out there to grab and come in if you hire somebody. So we'll see if that
a lot of coaches would call that an
advantage.
So we'll see.
Let's Virginia Tech. They lose 44-20 to Vanderbilt. They got run off their own field. Night game at Lane Stadium. Brent Pry has not done much there. Do you think this is it?
When you get outscored 34-0 in a half, that points to some issues that seem so foundational. That's an effort thing. Vanderbilt's not 34 points better than you in a half. That's an effort issue. That is a guys are not playing for you issue. And that's when you really run into stuff. As bad as Florida played, I didn't see a lot of effort issues. That gives me hope. When it becomes an effort thing, when guys are giving up, I think Vandy is spicy, but they're still Vandy. So I'm out. I just think there's no way that the Brent Pry can come back from this.
Yeah, like what do you even have to point to? Like at least Billy Napier beat Ole Miss and LSU and got DJ Lagway there. Like what are you getting from Brent Pry? You're not. And Whit Babcock, the AD, said recently in talking to the board, like he knows they have to win in football and they have to win now because the next 5 years are going to completely change college sports, and they just simply cannot. You cannot afford to keep Brent Pry at this point. Again, not saying he's going to get fired now, but I've seen nothing that makes you think he can turn it around. Last one here, Mike Gundy, as we mentioned, lost 69-3. Our Justin Williams had a good story, deep dive into him and what happened with Oklahoma State late last year. Bottom line, his comments last year basically calling the fans poor, pissed off everybody, understandably so. And now you're complaining about money again going into this Oregon game and getting embarrassed. He's had 9 lives there, so many times. It doesn't look like a team that's going to bounce back and win 10 games like it's done before. And it feels like everybody else is kind of out on him. And if he's going to embarrass them on their way out, I'm not going to say he's done because he's pulled this off before, but it is very much teetering to the point where it could pop at any time and I wouldn't be surprised.
You can acknowledge what a guy has done for a program and how much that relationship has allowed both sides to flourish and still acknowledge that it's probably time. And I don't know how you can look at that situation and not see that it's time. More than anything else, all the off the field stuff, all the comments, all that stuff. In 2025, you need a head football coach who is all in on coaching college football the way that it is in 2025 and talent acquisition and all that means. That means, hey, I'm going to meet with our collective or whatever that looks like, fundraising for players. Hey, I'm going to push on campus to get as much rev share as I can. Hey, I'm going to be active in the portal. I might tamper a time or two. I might make some calls, be aggressive. Hey, we can get you $2 million. We're going to get you there. Oklahoma State, they have not been aggressive. And they recognize that that's a reflection of your head coach. And when you look around on this roster and you see that they just don't have the kinds of guys that they've had in the past, the Justin Blackmans, the Justin Gilberts, even the Sean Lewises, obviously the Brandon Whedons, and a lot of these guys that have come through this program that have been big time talents. They don't have those guys. and it's harder to get them. You have to do them in a different way. It's always been tough to recruit at Oklahoma State, but they have enough money to be competitive in the Big 12. But if you have a coach that doesn't want to pay incoming guys that haven't done their program, doesn't want to even pay guys to keep them, that's an issue. You got to have a coach that's all in on being a coach for the modern game of college football, and Oklahoma State does not have that right now. I
would agree. So let's now go to the way we always wrap up our kind of look back at the weekend, and that is with the helmet stickers. Big time players. Step up in big game. That's all I gotta say. My helmet sticker goes to Michigan State quarterback Aiden Childs. He had 5 touchdowns in the 42-40 win against Boston College, as well as the game-winning 2-point conversion pass to win the game. No turnovers. He also escaped several third down sacks, turned them into first downs. The running ability you wanted to see from him. A year ago in this game against Boston College, he threw 3 interceptions, and with the chance to win the game, could not do it. This time around, he does do it. Michigan State's offense looks a lot better than a year ago. Childs looks to be taking that step up. Defense still has some concerns, but this is what Michigan State thought they were getting when Jonathan Smith came from Oregon State and he brought Aiden Childs with him. That is a difference maker, a playmaker at quarterback who will put the team on his back and win you the game. That is what happened yesterday. That was a win for Michigan State that they had not, the kind of win they had not gotten in quite a while. So Aiden Childs, for my performance, you get the helmet sticker. Dave, what about you?
On Childs real quick, he looked pretty good yesterday. I don't love the arm strength with him. He's a playmaker. Yeah. The arm strength gives me some concern for him.
Also, I wanted to shout out, not a helmet sticker, but Dylan Lonergan, BC quarterback, formerly at Alabama, threw for almost 400 yards. BC offense looks legit. That's another team I could see shake up the ACC race by beating a couple teams. Keep an eye on Dylan Lonergan, especially Alabama fans. You may be saying, why didn't we keep this guy?
Yeah. My helmet sticker goes to a guy that did something on, the last 2 weeks I don't think I've ever heard of a guy doing. Vakari Swain, punt returner for South Carolina. Chris, he's been punted to, the last 3 consecutive punts he took back for touchdowns. That's impossible. I've never heard of that ever. That's Dante Hall, Devin Hester. That's stuff they would dream about. But Vakari Swain has done it. He helped break open the game against Virginia Tech with a punt return. Took a pair of them back. I mean, that's like hitting 6 home runs and 6 at bats. That is insane. Shout out to Vakari Swain. Helmet sticker helped the Gamecocks rally from a little bit of a slow start against South Carolina State in a rain delay game. A lot of rain delays, by the way, in the Carolinas.
You guys, everybody who got the rain this weekend, that's what I got on Friday night. That is the storm. The storm that I went through on Friday night made it to all the football games on Saturday. So I feel what you're going through. Hope everybody's okay. Dealing with that. We had some trees and stuff. It's kind of a mess, but hope everybody's good. Almost done here. We're going to jump into the media scrum because we need to talk about David's situation at North Carolina.
That's why I don't read the newspaper, because it's garbage.
David, you went to UNC versus Charlotte. North Carolina won, uneventful game. But Bill Belichick after the game confirms that he has banned Patriots scouts from North Carolina. This turned out to be kind of the only notable thing. What did you make of all that being there in the press conference?
I was sitting front row. 2 things from that. One, it seems like the only topic that Bill Belichick likes to expound on or be interesting about is Robert Kraft. He gave an interview to the Boston Globe last week and talked about how one of the things he likes about college not having to deal with an owner or owner's son, which is very funny. But I should note that the question that was asked was pretty down the middle. It was just, hey, there's been a lot of reports about this, that UNC had banned Patriots scouts from the facility, banned them from talking to the coaching staff. They've got to go through this player personnel person. Just want to give you a chance to respond to that. And he said, well, it's pretty simple. It's clear I'm not welcome in their place, and so they're not welcome at ours. I had to do a double take because I was like, wait, did he just say that? This is one of those things, Chris, that yes, it's petty. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it actually matters in terms of like preventing his players from maximizing their NFL potential. But you can certainly color it that way. And I don't think it's going to play well in recruiting. And I think that's the one thing that's interesting about Bill Belichick is this is the kind of thing that I don't know that he recognizes, that when you're a college football head coach, every single thing you do has to come back to recruiting. And if it doesn't, then it makes me question if you kind of get what the point of all this is and how to build a program. Now you can question if he's there to build a program, but this was kind of wild because obviously a lot of people are talking about this. It was a big deal. It's a big talking point. I think the impact is probably overstated, but the inference from people who hear it, I think, is probably fair in that even if the impact is minimal, it does feel like you're putting your personal feelings over the futures of your players. I don't know how you color this decision in any other way. You're muted.
I can't believe we're doing this in 2025. I'm still muting myself.
Yeah, just restart.
Yeah, it's bad. Why even call yourself the 33rd team? Just call yourself the 32nd team and pretend the Patriots don't even exist at that point. Like, yeah, this is 100% going to come back to recruiting. It looks petty, and it looks like something that Bill Belichick is doing is not about maximizing the future of his players. You talk to NFL scouts all the time. They'll tell you, like, who's good, letting them see things, who's not good. Alabama, famously very good with scouts.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, famously very good because they have the most players, and Nick Saban knows that it helps them. I think with Mel Tucker at Michigan State, I think that the feeling was it wasn't very good. Like you hear stuff like that. And for him to just like straight up say it and say that too, is a guy who like, it continues to feel like everything he's doing at UNC is about a vindictive mission, essentially, to prove everybody wrong that he can still do this, to get back to the NFL and to get the NFL wins record. And it doesn't feel like he's doing everything he can that's going to maximize winning at North Carolina. So ultimately, does it matter? No, not a lot of NFL guys on this North Carolina roster anyway. And that's not the only way people see players. They do workouts, you watch tape. Like, it's ultimately not that big of a thing. But it just kind of comes back to the judgment and focus. And what you think?
And going out of your way to say this, because even if the question was direct, it's Bill Belichick. It's very easy to just say, we're not going to talk about that. It's internal, all that stuff. Like, clearly you wanted to like take a shot across the bow at the Patriots. And if you're expense of yourself, quite frankly.
And if you're an NFL owner, that doesn't make me want to hire him. If he's just going to like keep attacking me sometime down in the future, that doesn't help. So it's not great. Dave, would you have paid $300 to attend that press conference though?
I can tell you with confidence, no, I would not have. But maybe that's just me.
All right, and we're going to wrap this show up the way we always do, and that is by remembering some guys.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
I'm going to start this off by mentioning the last guy I remembered on the last show, Jason White, quarterback at Oklahoma. I went and saw a statue at Oklahoma on Saturday. They have a statue, all the Heisman guys there. Very cool.
Great tradition.
Very cool. Maybe John Mateer gets up there in the future. I don't know, but Jason White is there forever. Remember some guy. I'm going down USF. They had a big win, beat Florida. Bulls are riding high. I'm going with former USF quarterback Quentin Flowers, an electric dual threat guy. We'll always remember that 2017 game against UCF when he threw for 500 yards, ran for another 100. 6 touchdowns. They lose that game on a kick return by UCF, who goes undefeated. Very up and down period with him, with Charlie Strong and all that. But Quentin Flowers, a lot of fun. Fun dude. Player. USF legend. Shout out to the Bulls. Shout out to Quentin Flowers.
Yeah. Tampa Showers, bring Quentin Flowers. You'd love to see it. My guy, another quarterback who just was a fun guy to remember, Jeremiah Mazzoli. Started out at Oregon, kind of running around, ended up at Ole Miss. Was part of that Jacksonville State upset when Ole Miss, and it was kind of the beginning of the end, I believe, for Houston Nutt. But just one of those interesting, like, dual threat quarterbacks, kind of a bigger guy, not exactly fast, but kind of shifty, and just enjoyed watching him play. So shout out to Jeremiah Masoli. We remember
He
you.
had come up from, I think, junior college before Oregon, and he won the starting job. He is still playing, by the way. He is kind of a CFL legend. He has played in the Canadian Football League for a while. He had the CFL record for most consecutive completions in a game with 23 in 2016. Looks like he's played for the Edmonton Eskimos, Hamilton Tiger Cats, Ottawa Red Blacks. He's currently with 2025, the BC Lions. Still hanging around there in the CFL. So it looks like he started 3 games in 2024. Don't see any 2025 stats, so I'm not sure what happened there. But I remember him, Jeremiah Masoli, Quentin Flowers. We remember you, and we also have a listener submission from listener Ian, who says, in honor of Scott Abel bringing option football back to Rice, let's remember Rice quarterback Chase Clement and wide receiver Jarrett Dillard, who hold the NCAA Division I FBS record for career touchdowns between a quarterback and wide receiver tandem with 54 touchdowns. Dave, do you remember them?
I do remember them. I remember Jarrett Dillard a lot more than I remember Chase Clement, but I do remember those guys. Shout out to Rice. The tough thing with Rice is anytime you beat somebody good, it just comes back to like you can't lose to food. So I feel bad for Rice. Maybe Scott Abel can turn that around. But
well, Houston won the game this weekend, the last Bayou Bucket game on the schedule. Hope they get that intra-city game.
Yeah, Houston's making me year 2 Willie Fritz. They're a little bit frisky. Yeah, we'll see.
I got to see some more. If you got a guy you want us to remember, bunchformationpod@gmail.com. We've got a good list. We got a waiting list. A number of people have submitted good ones, so please send that to us. It's been a very long episode, but we will be back on Thursday with the Week 3 Picks and Preview edition. It's been 2 weeks of college football, man, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to be home in Michigan. I'm not traveling to any games. Are you going to any games this weekend?
No, there was some talk about me going to Notre Dame, but I am home next week, thankfully. I'm still tired from this road trip.
Perhaps we do a bunch formation after dark on Saturday.
I would say more than likely we will be doing something. So
we'll tell you more on the Thursday episode. But appreciate everybody for listening to this whole thing. We love college football. Every week you never know what's going to happen. Once again, that was the case. So for David Ubben in his brand new office with something, if you're watching on YouTube, you may see behind him.
Look at this.
For David Ubben, I'm Chris Vannini. We will talk to you on Thursday.
And bring back the turnover chain. I have it here, Miami. This is the real one. So if you want it, it's in my office.